Welcome to our 130th episode of the Gutenberg Changelog podcast. In today's episode, we will talk about WordPress 7.0, Gutenberg 22.9 and 23.0, WordCamp Europe, and block themes, and so much more. I'm your host, Birgit Pauli-Haack, curator at the Gutenberg Times and a full-time core contributor at the WordPress open source project, sponsored by Automatic. And with me on the show is my longtime friend and regular guest, Tammie Lister. And she's a core committer, chief product officer at Convesio, and was the co-lead of the first phase of Gutenberg. Tammie, it's wonderful to have you in on the show.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for the time. So how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. You started a new job. So what are you working on in your new position?
I'm incredibly lucky that I get to facilitate and collaborate on product within Convesio hosting. And we're working on a range of different things. We work on both hosting and payments, along with some other products. And I'm really excited to be able to do that and kind of grow with that team.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Well, congratulations. So, and you are also a speaker at WordCamp Europe. Your title is Human in the Loop Means Something. And we probably learn what it means.
Yeah, so we always kind of had this idea with AI that the human in the loop, maybe it's just like the prompting that you start with doing and you're like at the start of being the human in the loop. And I think as kind of we're learning to be with AI and we're learning to see AI as more of integrated, my talk is about how when we use the term human in a loop, and I think kind of people just drop it now into product making processes and they drop it into anything that they're doing, it should be various points in that loop, should be where humans are, not just at the start and then having something kind of chucked out of them by AI, just produced. That's not the human being actually in the loop. That's the human being at the beginning and the end of the loop, rather than being integrated. That's kind of the one angle of it. And the other is that AI really needs to kind of be integrated in our lives. Well, it already is, but it actually needs to be integrated, not just forced. And therefore it needs to learn to kind of integrate with us. It needs to learn to be with us. There are various technologies that are doing that. And in that talk, I'm going to kind of explore how that happens and how that happens from a product perspective as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's going to be really interesting because my experience is more like all of a sudden the humans become the bottleneck, and then some programmers try to work around that and say, okay, we need to get AI be smarter, but
I think
you're
it
still
can be the opposite. I think if we take the best of humans and combine it with the best of AI, we have the best future.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, because humanity is all that's left, right?
Yeah.
And that needs to serve that. Yeah.
And if we don't have AI with that splash of humanity, some of us aren't going to use it. And we can evangelize as much for people to use it as possible, but people are going to have a bit of a reaction to it. And also it's going to be kind of that friction when we do use it, and going to be like talking to kind of a calculator or a fridge all the time. It's not going to kind of, and I'm not talking about giving it a cute name or making it kind of that, or anthropomorphization. I can never say that word. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just being able to have a splash of humanity with it, and how the AI can learn from us as much as we can learn from AI. And we also, it's augmentation as part of it. So I think we're all learning about how AI can be used both in part of our process as well, and how it can make us better at what we do. And, there's this kind of 10x, all these kind of things. I think that's quite a flippant thing, because it's like, well, no, we were doing the best we could do before. It just means that we now have the abilities through doing this. So yeah, I'm kind of forming it at the moment, and it's going in lots of different angles, and I've got to kind of try and take it in one straight angle. But I know for me and many other people, AI, in particular the last year, it's been very empowering, both in the work that they do and in the kind of personal life. So hopefully there'll be some take-homes on things you can use, as much as kind of sharing maybe a more optimistic future perspective.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel totally empowered to submit PRs, create more documentation and all that, and also for writing, with English as a second language. It's so much richer when you learn from AI to kind of different angles and all that. So it's a really interesting.
The point you said about learn from, and I think that that's something really important, that we can learn from AI, and sometimes I cannot remember. I was actually found an article. I cannot remember again, but there was an article about like it being unlocking education for people. And I know there's like different conversations about where that is and where your sources are for that. But it actually can, like the things that I have learned and the things that I have been able to expand my knowledge base with, because I now have access to it that I didn't have access to, research papers, different things.
Yeah. Right.
I've been able to, I have one of these things I use with my OpenClaw that's called Explain This. It's a skill, but it explains it how I understand it as me, which is a very unique way that I understand things, but it will say it like that. Then it will relate to the job I do. Then it will relate to the areas of interest that I have. And I've refined that skill to talk to me. Not many people, nobody else can do that. And I hadn't got that before. So being able to do that and give it things and initially do that and then help me break things down has been really, really important to me to be able to do that.
That's the most, the application that I use it most is actually to learn things.
Explain this and I would understand this.
So I had on my flight so I was in Costa Rica and I was on a flight that didn't have any Wi-Fi, and but I still was able to take my laptop and open it up and ask a question because I had Olama installed and I had one of the LLMs there, and I learned about transformers and all that, and you can actually ask it to explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, kind of thing, and then it gets further and further. It's really, there is a whole education school out there that wants the kids to go and learn for themselves and not in a complete setting. I think I would thrive in that because I could dive deeper into topics that I'm interested in and never come out.
I think even for me, from personal, like creating art with it, doing all these kind of different things, like it has been to me, so I'm hoping, like I'm still forming my talk because I'm a bit of a last minute in that sense. It's not that last minute, but
you've got still 5 weeks, right?
I know. Yeah, but I also need to do the pictures.
And you always do your own pictures, right?
Well, I may not. I don't know.
You may not.
I'm curious about could I get AI to create like me? That's something I'm exploring because it feels like it might be right. If it took my pictures, if it took my doodles, I don't know. I have not decided yet on that angle, so more to come on that. I've been exploring how AI can take my art as a source. I already paint with AI, what AI creates, I paint that. So the full circle might be that AI creates from my artwork. That would be an interesting thing.
Interesting, yeah. All right, so let's dive back to WordPress. We have a few announcements. The biggest one is last time we talked here on the podcast, WordPress 7.0 still was scheduled for April 9th. That obviously didn't happen. And before we get into more details, here the good news. We have a new release date and updated information about WordPress 7.0. May 20th is the latest date. And I also put in the show notes the post that kind of announced that. Beta release candidate cycle resumes with the next release party that's scheduled for May 8th at 1500 UTC. And then that kind of starts I think it's 2 releases that are quasi-beta and then 2 releases that are quasi-release candidates. And also in that discussion, there's also a discussion that the RTC performance testing script that automatically tests for possible architecture approaches for hostings is about to be released, and I'll share the link to the repository, Doreen. Not everybody would need that, mostly hostings, but that was also the reason why things got a little bit delayed. So, Tammie, I'm going to try to explain this, how I understood it, and the reasoning behind it, and you can correct me and elaborate what you feel is important. So, if I understood it correctly, the delay was actually requested by Matt, but in coordination with core committers and the hosting team, because WordPress 7.0's main feature is the real-time collaboration project. And collaborators worked on it for over a year, and the goal was to get it into best shape in what it can be for the first release. But it had been a whole wide testing done but it was only on enterprise infrastructure. So with the inclusion into core, it also needs to work in less powerful hosting environments. And hosting companies didn't have enough time or tools to actually test it. So during the release cycle, there was this feedback that they needed more time and test the feature more so they can enable it for many, many clients, unless if they couldn't, they needed to switch it off. And that was not the purpose of that. It should be a wide enough application. So the team created a test suite for the hosting companies and also published a dev note on how to create an external provider for this offloading of the resource heavy sync process, because that's all of a sudden you have not one person on the screen, you have five maybe, and that increases stuff. Yeah. So that's
also,
my understanding.
If I'm correct, it was also not necessarily the delay, but there was also kind of pieces of it, table and kind of extra pieces were kind of needed to be done or were done, and kind of that has implications. I think the too long don't read is real-time collab is complicated. Real-time collab is very complicated from an infrastructure perspective, and we need to have thorough testing across every implementation. And one of the things which, when you think about it, it's for humans to do real-time collaboration, but actually one of the most interesting things is not humans doing real-time collaboration. And actually now we have the testing suite, we can actually test with not humans doing it. That's why I'm kind of fascinated to do some of this testing, and that can be even more load bearing. So if you think about like someone, like I think one of the cases was like if it's on a small hosting, I only have one person. Well, not if that one person gets very excited about agents, because that person could have suddenly lots of agents, even though they're on like a tiny little bit of hosting and they're not enterprise. They could have made themselves enterprise, and they could have made themselves into that situation just by being at the forward of like agentic work. So we had that balance like in 7.0, we're promoting be forward with AI. Agentic is like a word. You might as well like take a sip of tea every time you hear the word agentic, right? I don't drink alcohol, so it would be sip of tea.
Oh, what a drinking game.
I'd be tea drunk. I really would. But so people are going to want to push and test it, right? So I think it is. I would much rather people were cautious with something that, as someone that works in hosting, that would bring down hosting. But I think it is hard for everybody involved when we have to pause a release, when we have to say, oops, we're not doing it now. And oops is the wrong word, but hey, we're not doing it now. Kind of hold back. It's hard. People do not do this lightly. They do not say we're not going to do a release lightly. So yeah, there's a lot to be kind of thought about that. Having been involved with one of the longest ones that was stopped before, it's a lot for humans to have that. I love that we have a testing suite now. I love that we can have that. This feature is going to potentially in 7.1 and in the patches and in the point release afterwards. And I don't want to be a doomsayer, but we're going to have to adjust it. We're going to have to perform it. We're going to have to get that feedback. So it needs to be the best bet to go live with, and then we need to take it from there. So but this is now, it's in the best shape it could be, so it can kind of go from there. So yeah,
and you just mentioned that there's also for the updates and the coordination, there will be an extra table added to WordPress as well to manage that polling and the intermediate storage
and that is not a light thing to do. That is like like I said it very flippantly, but it's not a flippant thing to be done.
No, and there needs to be really thought process in there, because it's gonna be in WordPress for the next 20 years.
Yes. So. That's like building something to the house. It really is.
Right. Yeah. So you cannot just tear it down because you don't like it anymore.
No. That's definitely
people
a
build
firm
on it.
garage.
Yeah. So May 20th is the next release date, and whoever hasn't tested their plugins and themes with a new release, you get another almost a month grace time to do it now. Yeah, don't wait. Do it now. Sometimes I say, don't wait, procrastinate now, but this is not the case here.
No, and I think you really, if you don't ever test your plugins on other releases, test them on this one, not just because of collaborative editing, but also because of the admin interface changes as well.
Yeah.
Not changes in a big way, just in a kind of just enough that maybe do some testing.
Yeah, and there's also the minimum PHP version is changed to 7.4.
Have a bit of a look.
Yeah.
Just spend half an hour.
Yeah, see if it blows up or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only a late addition to the developer notes, the roster of design tools per block that had been since 6.7, I think. It's now updated to version WordPress 7.0. And one of my next projects is that I create a plugin that actually has a few more table block features, so it doesn't is so rudimentary anymore, but especially the sticky header when you have 90 rows in a table,
I
that would
love
be
that.
really helpful.
Yeah, I love that
So
because the table block to me is one that I always end up having to do custom work on, or I have to do like if anything in my work is going to take whenever I'm doing, I don't always do sites, but whenever I do sites, if there's anything, comparison tables, such a common thing we end up doing, right? Like, or even if you're going to do like pricing or comparison, whatever you're going to do, at most sites at some point, if they're a SaaS or if they're a product based, they're going to have something like that on. And you always have to do something with CSS on there, or
yeah.
even down to like how you putting images inside there, and it's a bit finicky and all those kind of ways.
It's
I
all
love that English
finicky.
word.
Yeah, I mean, there are some projects out there that I probably won't tackle, but it's the sticky header, and then that the first column can be styled differently than the rest of it, and then also have a sticky first column. So when you horizontally scroll, that you still have the
Yeah.
lines in there, and merge and unmerge for cells. Yeah, because that really helps. So, but I will see how far it gets. I submitted it to the first version, tiny version, to the blog repository, and there are 763 ahead of me. So it probably takes 2 to 3 weeks. That's fine with me. Yeah. But
I mean,
yeah,
that's a pretty good time.
yes, compared to 3 months before, yeah, or
Yes.
5 months or
So,
6 months. Yeah. So I'm not worried about that. And it's gonna be on GitHub anyway. So yeah. There are other contributions, community contributions. One, I just wanted to let you know that if you have subscribed to the Gutenberg Times weekly edition, you know about that, but I have published my workshop resources from the Building a Blog Theme from Scratch from WordCamp Asia. And it has all the resources that you need. You have the kind of a little slide deck, but it also has a reference theme and then content that you can put into your studio, has instructions how to set up WordPress Studio or use Playground, and then step-by-step instructions how to rebuild the theme with the site editor and not touch code. So see how far you get if you want to learn that. But you should be able to do this within an hour or two or three. But you need some familiarity with the site editor, definitely, and the Create Block Theme plugin. And so that's for you in the show notes. The next one is, maybe you can talk about it, collaborative
can't say that
editing
word.
with
No.
Claude by Gary Pendergast. He has a new plugin. Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently it's twice the fun. So it's kind of what I was saying about like collaborative editing is great, but one of the things I think a lot of people have been thinking of is like, oh yeah, so that's humans. No, no, no. What if it could be agents? And this is really worth checking out to have a look at that. Gary is a long time, he's a core committer, long time worked on Gutenberg, worked on in Automatic. So he's definitely got the experience to work on it. And he's definitely kind of brewed this up. Super excited about it. It is Claude only at the moment. I think there's plans to kind of make it a little bit kind of expansive there. Maybe that dropped last night. It's work in progress and it's been worked on. So I love that. But to me, this is where I get a bit more excited as someone that's already trained it's a me problem, but I've already trained my OpenClaw to write like me. Not that it's going to just write without me being a human in the loop, but because of that, me being able to collaborate with, I call it EXO, with EXO, it means that I can have that conversation, but I can do it within WordPress, which is really powerful for me. I do it in Obsidian at the moment. I've been able to take that in and do it in that environment. I was doing something before this plugin. I was kind of doing like a faked version. There was a UK children's show called Sooty Show. And bear with me on this. And I ended up with the characters like doing agent work together just to test collaborative editing for myself because I wanted to see if it could be done. And it's pretty effective to be able to have agents talking to each other and testing. So it is a really good experience. Maybe you've got one again, it doesn't have to be that you are as a human doing it. Maybe you have an agent that is looking at your grammar. Maybe you have an agent that is specializing in images. Maybe you have so you can have agents that are specializing in different things, or you can even have someone else's agent come and do different things for SEO or different stuff. So I think that's the thing. Like if you are enterprise, you probably have agents that work across the company that do very specialist skills, and then you could have them come into the editor. So projects like this are really interesting for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's absolutely fascinating, the whole thing. Yeah. And if you really want to go really, really deep in AI
And take
across the,
snacks. You need snacks for this post.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So there is James LePage, who is the head of AI at Automatic, but also the team rep or team lead for the core AI team. He has put together a blog post with, I haven't counted it, but I'm thinking more than 70 or 80 links about anything and everything that's done with AI in the WordPress ecosystem from the community AI providers. So WordPress 7 has this connector page where there are 3 AI providers by default that you can install, but the community also came very fast up with the providers for other LLMs like Mistral for Europe or Open Router provider or Olama provider or Alibaba. So you get a link for all those. Those will not be displayed in default, but once you install the plugin, you can connect them to the things. And then a lot of plugins that have already implemented the Abilities API. Yeah, from ACF to Jetpack to Fluid Design System for Elementor, Divi WP and main WP maintenance kind of dashboard. They all come up with MCPs, so you can connect your agents with them if you want to. You totally can ignore that segment on the podcast if you're not interested in. Agent skills, they're not only the WordPress agent skills, but others have also Automatic, for instance, published agent skills or
Those skills are invaluable. I'm just going to say,
yeah,
like those skills are absolutely they should be required in any work that you're doing.
right.
I'm just
Yeah,
going to say,
I don't
so,
do anything WordPress development without those agents. Yeah,
yeah,
they're definitely required reading for your LLMs, your coding agents. Yeah, and then infrastructure, agency, enterprise adoption, community. So it's a really long, and I'm going back to that post multiple times in the last 2 weeks since it was published. So I wanted everybody to know about that too. Yeah, that's it. Any thoughts for now, or
no,
would I
I
forgot?
just love going there and seeing all the amazing stuff people are building as well, which I think is really important. And to think this is the list today, and that list is only going to get bigger.
Yeah, I think after the last 2 weeks, since it was published, a lot of things already happened.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
kind of
and that's
thinking
amazing.
it's the same for me. It's the same situation like it was when Gutenberg was introduced, and
Yes.
I was kind of putting the Gutenberg Times together.
Yeah.
I'm kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, I need to kind of,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 Which is, I love that problem.
yeah, oh yeah,
It means
totally,
that we
yeah.
are being creative and we are creating cool stuff, which is
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. Yeah. And I'm really amazed by how people come up with things and how you work with it, how my coworkers work with it, how I
It's
explore
enabling people to
things.
have ideas that
Mhm.
the ideas have sat in their brains or they haven't been capable of doing it. It's not so they haven't had the either the language to like the skill language to do. It's not that they're not capable, it's that they haven't had the knowledge to do it, right? Everybody is super capable. It's just empowered them to be able to do it for themselves. Maybe they were a designer, now they can do development, maybe a developer, now they can do some more designery stuff. And then also pairing up with people. I've seen a lot of
Right.
that where people be going like, okay, well, this has enabled us to collaborate easier and faster as well. So you don't just have to be isolated on your own, just talking to a group of agents, which is kind of sad if you only do that. But yeah,
Right.
that's okay. That's my life. But also, actually collaborating with people who are also doing this stuff, like the buzz like that you can get from that is really like I went to CloudFest a
Hmm.
month ago now, and just talking with people about this stuff again and getting that kind of vibe about, oh, well, here's the stuff that I use, well, here's the stuff that I use, well, here's like and instantly you level up your stack and you level
Hmm.
up what you're
Absolutely.
doing and
Yeah.
come away with some cool ideas. So every
Mm.
week I talk to someone about this. I come up with a ridiculously long list of tools, of cool stuff to try out, or I see posts like this. I'm like, okay, well now. And one thing I do, I share the bookmarks. So I'm kind of like getting those bookmarks reminded me. So I can be like,
Yeah.
okay, well now I kind of pull these out and then I explore those bookmarks. You can even
Hmm.
give it to your agent and have a look at your bookmarks with your agent. You really want to do that. Just saying.
Well, I talk with my husband about it every day. He kind of discovered because his company is kind of using Codex and I'm using more Claude, so we kind of can combine it. And now
Mm.
I have found a plugin for Claude for Codex, so I'm kind of
Ah,
interceptionist there. Yeah, like the
yeah,
movie. It's kind of where your
yeah,
brain kind of clicks a little bit and then you're
yeah,
kind of okay, moving on.
yeah.
But yeah, his work is totally different than what I do, but we are using the tools that are there, and it's quite an interesting conversation every time. Yeah.
It's a great space to be working in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now we come to the section of what's released, and we have two Gutenberg plugin releases to talk about. One was 22.9 that was released on April 8th. And it has a few things. Many of them were actually for the real-time collaboration, and some of the bug fixes are still there. But yeah, there's also a lot of work being done in the component space. And the WordPress UI package is actually has some empty states for the components
Mm.
and displaying some placeholders content when sections have no data and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is actually throughout the whole WordPress UI package and
Mm-hmm.
interesting for developers who use
Yeah.
it. The same with the alert dialog primitive that you can
Mm-hmm.
tab into. And there are a lot of other good things in there. Check out the storybook for the UI packages. Are you working with those
Yeah.
packages?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's a gentle nudge. I think a lot of So one of the experiences I'm seeing with plugin developers at the moment, not just in the work I do, but in general, talking at CloudFest or otherwise, is those that maybe hadn't used it before now. Actually, we're talking about like with agentic coding because of the skills and because of the ease that they can point to the skills, and there actually is one. They're starting to be able to use them way more. It's no longer a case of go to Storybook, click on a component, and be able to pull and then work out from the space between Figma. And that was actually like it seemed easy, but it was quite a gap for people to function in.
Hmm.
And because you can actually use the skill and then you can be like, so one of the plugins I love is Superpowers. It's a plugin that allows you to do brainstorming. I love brainstorming with the bots. And so I can just be like, okay, this is what I want to do. And now tell me before you do it. I'm a bit of a control freak that way. And then it can kind of come back, but these are the skills I want you to use. Tell me what components you're going to use. Look at this repo. And you can literally be like, so for me, here's my Dusty plugin. Can you look at my Dust? I'm calling my plugin Dusty. Can you look at my Dusty plugin? Can you come up with my plan of how I would fit these into the Dusty plugin that I've made? And I've done this with some of my older stuff, and it's been like, okay, yes, here's the newer components that you could do. And I'm like, well, thanks. And it will be able to parse it, come up with a plan. Then you work with it, and it's pretty very impressive that it
Yeah.
can do that and it can pick it. So I think leaning into that being your guide, and if you say stay true to, so say like what is the native use of tabs, what is the native use of these
Hmm.
components, it
Hmm.
gets it really well. So yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So that's how I approach it too. Yeah. That to
Yeah,
kind of point it to the repos
yeah,
and
here's a
see if
skill, here's
you
the
don't have to
repo.
come up with things. Yeah. It's kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah,
and
and it's
that's
like
also for plugin developers who have their own
yeah,
interfaces, yeah, that
yeah.
they have to maintain
Yeah,
for
you
over
don't
and
have to.
over.
You can get rid of like 80% of your interface that you don't have to maintain. And a good point to that, often people think, okay, well, it means that I therefore don't have any personality or I don't have any style or I don't have anything. No. What you can do is you can bring the buttons in. I'm a little bit of a purist about I still want the primary button to be the primary button and I don't want to like a secondary and all those kind of things. But you can bring styling into it. You can bring graphics, you can bring headers, you can bring different tonal stuff into it. But just if everybody knows what a primary button is in WordPress, no matter what plugin they're using, that is fantastic because it's also already tested by the accessibility team. If it's updated for everybody, which is amazing. And yeah, it's so much easier going forward. And it's responsive out of the box.
Yeah, it's definitely easier for the user. They don't have to learn a new
Yes.
interface for every plugin.
Yeah.
And if they
Like
have 30 or
now
something.
it's to the right side. Now it's to the bottom. Now it's to the no. It's
Yeah.
always tabs ahead. And I think just stabilizing the interface to that. Once we stabilize every experience, we can do some wacky stuff. We can bring some awesome graphics. We can bring some personality back to it, but we have the experience being the same. And I think we have to separate maybe the experience from the visual art. And if we do that, we have a thing that works really well, but also is really shockingly beautiful as well.
Yeah, no, yeah. So in the blog library, we have some additional features. One is that the background gradient support can now
Cool.
be combined with the background images. So that's really cool because then you have an overlay and you can have these really shiny designs there. I love that's now there.
That seems like that's a kind of small thing just there, but honestly, that's a major thing for theme design, being able to have that.
Yeah, and there is an experimental forms block, and if you haven't tried it yet, you need to open up the Gutenberg plugin experiments page and check it. But it now also supports hidden fields, and that makes it much more feasible to be used in form if you want to put your forms together. And I don't know if you can. I need to play around with it some more. I haven't yet, but what happens with the action and where does it go is definitely something that I need to figure out there because that's the biggest part on form plugins that you can, where does the data go? Yeah, so what else do
So
we
on the
have?
commands, I think we go down to the command block, don't we? Oh,
Yeah,
command palette.
yeah. Mhm.
I see blocks everywhere, apparently. So on the command palette, we have that we add sections to command palette and introduce recently used functionality. This is such a quality of life fix.
Oh,
I
absolutely,
really like
absolutely, yeah.
this.
Especially when you can get more commands in,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
never
yeah.
find it. So the search is
I
really
This was
important.
interesting because I never used to use this. Sorry.
Mhm.
Confession time. I never used to use this, but I use it all the time now. It's weird. I think I use it all the time because I use it all the time now on Mac. It's strange. And I think it's just like I now expect everything to have it. It's a
Mhm.
weird thing. So yeah, it makes a lot of functionality to me. Like when it first happened, I was like, nice feature.
Yeah,
But didn't
I don't use it.
like
Yeah, but
it wasn't like I wasn't going to use it. It was more like I used to feel that way about voice chat. I take some features I weirdly being the product's my thing. I take a little bit of time to warm up to, but this one I did. I definitely could see the use, but now it's part of my workflow and I can definitely see like I find that I know how to hit it and I will hit it and I will use it. So and I want it in everything now. So
nice. Yeah, just a way of caution. You need to enable that in the experiments page
palette,
as well.
yes,
There's a workflow
one of
palette
those ones.
experiment, one of
Yeah.
those. It's getting longer and longer. I'm still need to write that post that explains all those experiments because there's no documentation. So yeah,
Yeah,
somehow
they're
we
kind
need
of
to.
hidden down the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're hidden because they're waiting for feedback, but you can't
Yes.
give any feedback when you don't know how it works.
Yes.
So it's all a little bit circular.
Like Schrodinger's features.
Yeah. So, and even the description is like, oh, what does that even mean?
Oh, bless. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we go down to the experiments in the changelog, and the post
Yeah.
editor is an experiment for to look like the page editor in
Hmm.
the site editor. And now it also has some field, yeah,
That's
for
that's a pretty
excerpts and sticky and all that
yeah, that's a
revisions.
pretty full-fleshed addition to it.
Yeah. And I have found that certain things don't work in the post editor, but they only work in the site editor. So bringing the post editor to the site editor would help with some of those features. So there's another experiment that we talked a little bit about the previous release because it came into 22.8. That's the experimental guidelines. They were called content guidelines. Now they're only guidelines because it's clear it's content. And they have been refactored and improved with TypeScript. I just wanted to point that out. That's something that you, when you have agents coming to your website, you can guide them through your guidelines on what to do with it and what not to do and all that. So it's a really good interface to look at. Well, there are a lot of PRs in here, but I think the next one that I want to point out is Gutenberg 23.0.
2 versions in one.
One done. And that was only released this week. We are recording this on February. We're recording
Do not
this.
Put me back to February, bless you. I'm not doing March again.
No March. We are jumping right into April. And it's April 24th. We are recording this. And Gutenberg 23.0 was released on April 22nd. Again, a lot of components updates for WordPress, the UI. They're really hopping on that. It's phenomenal.
And honestly, I'm just going to say that is needed if you're building stuff, you're building applications, or we've been talking about like themes. The theme of this is have fun, build stuff, do things. This is what we need. We need this interface to be our Lego kit to be able to do that. That's something like I have way too long a list of things I want to play with, and me and EXO are going to have some fun time with with all these components. But that's exactly what people are doing. And the more these components we have, the more fun people can have building, and that's the cool thing about this.
No, I definitely let my AI soon because I'm building a plugin, right? But anyway, so in the block library, there's one thing to point out that I've selected was the search block has a fix now, and the color settings actually apply also to the input fields when the button is disabled, because sometimes you don't need a button, but you need the color settings to persist. The tabs block got a few changes. It was actually refactored from the previous version. That's why it didn't make it to WordPress 7.0. So contributors are really working on it to get it ready for 7.1. But that's, we definitely have some more when it gets to out of experiment.
Block. Very wanted block.
Yeah, it's a wanted block for everybody. Or change them. And here is in 23.0 was the name change from the guidelines experiments component from content guidelines to guidelines. And it's out of experimentation.
Shortcuts for moving blocks via tooltips. Maybe you can explain this one. I don't think I've kind of seen this one in Block Editor.
Yeah, the display shortcuts for moving blocks via tooltips. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's actually just kind of visualizing the shortcuts, which is really good. So you actually get the shortcuts rather than having to bring up the shortcut panel. Oh, okay. That's super good. So I kind of didn't see that one. I love that. I love finding sneak surprises of cool stuff. I'm just saying that is also the cool thing about all these releases. Sometimes you find one that's pretty cool.
And they're buried through all the
I like
technology
cool
one. So I was at the meetup in Salzburg and this week, and it's only an hour and a half from here with a train, and I love going by train, so I did some work. One of the features that people are really talk to, or kind of that talk to them, was actually the columns block in a paragraph. What's in 7.0, where you can just highlight the paragraph block and then say, give me columns. And then you can put it in 2 columns. And that's just so easy because you don't have to fiddle around with columns. With the columns block, you don't have to measure which one is faster because it does it automatically. So that's a really nice feature. And
quality of life things is things we always would do. And it just, when the editor does expectations of what you would do, that's when it's next level. And it's also refinement. It shows maturity of the editor, maturity of using it, and also listening to user feedback.
Right. And the other, so we didn't talk about it, but I don't want to prolong this, but do you have a favorite feature from WordPress 7.0, apart from the real-time collaboration and the AI connectors?
Oh, apart from real-time collaboration and the AI, you're just picking on like my favorite children and then taking away from them.
Yeah.
Um, can I actually go a little bit wide and include
Yeah.
any tiny little quality of life bug fix? Because I think any track ticket we manage to close or quality of life bug fix that comes in that, and we don't necessarily highlight them. And I know we're talking about features and we're talking about stuff like that. But I would also say, apart from that, anything in Storybook or that's or a component or anything like that, that is going to be my favorite because it just means that we can build more cool stuff. But honestly, like, yeah, it's not a feature, but it's like any tickets we closed, anything we improved that isn't visible or seen, that's amazing for me.
Yeah. So what really got the people excited about 7.0 is the new revisions panel. With 23.0 in Gutenberg, it also comes to templates, template parts, and to patterns, which is really kind of going through the whole editor and edit screen where you can have the
As someone that
revisions
worked on
panel.
the original revision screen, I am very happy to see that gone. Because that slider needs to be buried. Bless it. It is
Yeah.
old. We did it a while ago, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
is
it definitely needed to go, but I think
it is
the
a
implementation
historic
is,
interface, not an interface of today.
yeah.
We can debate what the interface of today is, but it is not that.
Yeah. Well, I like that it knows about blocks and it has these night color
Would be a
changes and
start.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you actually can do it in the block editor. You don't have to go out of that and come
I think
in
that's the
again.
thing. You have to go to it. I'm all for being in different frames of mind thinking when you can move to different spaces, but no.
No, and not in this one. Yeah. So yeah, I pointed that out. It's coming, people, even if you
Yay.
missed it in 7.0.
So is
So
that your favorite feature coming? Because you asked me mine. So is that your favorite, apart from AI and apart from collaborative editing? Because you're not allowed to pick those either. If I couldn't,
Oh
you
man.
can't.
Yeah. Well, I like that you can have now video backgrounds in external video
That's a good
URLs
one.
for cover. For the cover block is really cool. And I like the revisions. It's definitely yeah, because I did the source of truth and there's all the things in there, but I looked at the revisions and it was 64. And I really said, oh, it can handle that. That's awesome. It can handle 64 revisions in the block editor in the first thing. Yeah. So I also like the source of truth. Where is it? Here it is. I need the list in front of me to kind of remember what's coming in WordPress 7.0. And my internet just gave out. No, Tammie is still here. Can't be the internet.
I'm here.
Oh, I
Lovely.
definitely like the breadcrumbs block. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. And that
And
actually is a really, because many times you've had to hack around it using like the navigation block or doing something really funky.
yeah, and you need a plugin for that. Yeah, and it's such a
Generally, I've seen people use the navigation and then just do like a port of it into a plugin or something like that. That's what they've
yeah,
kind of taken,
yeah,
or hard. They've just done some weird stuff. I've seen some weird combinations of break.
true. Yeah.
So having a native one is really good.
Really good, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then the other one was the gallery lightbox that it actually has navigation now. Yeah, you
Well,
can go
that's the
through
quality of
back and
life.
forth, yes. So it was kind of missing from the last
Yeah,
implementation, but yeah.
yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's kind of I like all of it, but yeah, those are the favorite ones.
You can pick
So
those two. It's honestly like I think that's the thing, not picking the two that is going to be good. But for me, it's collaborative editing again, not with humans. But that's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
No,
think that's
I only
yeah.
excluded it because we talked about it before already.
I know,
Yeah,
but not picking your
and it
favorite
kind of
children.
yeah. Yeah,
But
so
I also
what's
think that's going to be interesting to see in demos, right? Rather than having to have two people on stage doing it, we're going to be able to see in demos, like having non-humans being able to do collaborative ones.
yeah, no, I definitely want to try Gary Pendergast's plugin to kind of figure out how I can use that to my because I'm in WordPress all the time with the Gutenberg Times and I need some help there. Yeah, so, and I had a few workflows kind of with how do I find stuff and all
Yeah.
that already.
You can
And
even have like a research one
so,
that can
right, I
drop,
have
drop like a first draft
yeah,
in for you. Could get the
yeah,
change logs, pull them in first of all. So many
yeah,
possibilities.
yeah. So, but what's also, and now we come to the what's in active development and discussed, and one of them is the media editor experiment that a group of contributors are working on. And that's a new component. It started with the image cropper. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of have a
and then
better
grew.
image cropper that kind of, because the one that we have, where you just kind of enlarge it and then kind of figure it out where to go. Yeah, I need a drag and drop kind of thing to
Yeah.
crop things.
And also
Yeah,
that crop, the native cropper doesn't always work.
right. Yeah, yeah. So Ramon and Andrew are working on that, and they have it. It's still a PR that's not yet merged, but you can test it in Playground, and I hope you can test it in Playground now. I think they wanted to put it in today and hook it up to the experiment page so you can test it. But it's when you're on an image block and you click then on the cropping tool, it opens up a new model, and then you can do rotate, you can do enlarge, and yeah, resize it, and you can crop it, and you can do all
It
kind
has
of things.
actually merged.
Okay, it's merged now. Excellent, thank you. So
So it is
I'll
merged. So I think it's still experimental, but it is merged. So even better than Playground, it is merged, and you can try it on an experimental. I think, based on what I'm looking at on the PR, that's what it looks like.
but it's not in 23.0 yet. It's
No, it'd be in
because it was merged
24.
after. Yeah,
24, she says in a big voice.
in a big voice. It's in
Okay.
23.1. Yeah,
Yeah, so,
it's
oh, yes, okay. Try and remember numbering. That would be good. 23.1. I went straight to 24.
No, but it's going. But you can test it through the Gutenberg Nightly, yeah,
Yeah,
because
get the
that's
Gutenberg one.
already
There
in
you go.
and with Playground. So it's really
Yeah,
cool. It's so early that people wanna need some input from the
yeah,
users. So
yeah.
go and play with it. And with that, we're coming to the end. It's been a wonderful experience with you, Tammie. Thank you so much. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything that you want to talk about that you didn't get to because I
No.
restricted you?
You did not restrict me at all. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
All right. Well, how can people find you when they
You can
want to
find
look for
me
you?
as normal on Karmatos to all the things, and I look forward to seeing whoever's going to WordCamp Europe as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So, as always, the show notes will be published in gutenbergtimes.com/podcast. This is episode 130. And if you have any questions or suggestions or news that you want us to include, send them to changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. That's an email address, changelog@gutenbergtimes.com. So I thank you all for listening. It was good to be with you, Tammie, and thank you for your time. And this is goodbye. Until the next time. Bye bye.
Bye.